wishes to speak on any ordinance or any issue, please put a card in, and that way we can take care of that and make sure that you're recognized. And then we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Tanner, would you go ahead and introduce our fifth grader, Miss Olivia Adams from Lee Road Junior High?
Olivia, stand up, Olivia, but I can see you. Is my mic on?
Yes, sir.
I was just kidding. Boss. I want just a little bit about Olivia. Leading us in tonight's pledge is Olivia Adams. Olivia is a fifth grade student at Lee Road Junior High. She has maintained a perfect 4.0 GPA since the beginning of school and has received numerous academic honors. She is currently a member of the Lee Road Junior High 4-H, participates in the gifted program and talented theater program, plays percussion in the school band. She has participated in Lee Road's Lego League Junior Robotics Club and played the violin. She's viewed as a natural leader in her school and enjoys tutoring and motivating her peers. After school, Olivia is active in the performing of arts and sports. She participates in dance, volleyball, softball, tumbling, and plays the piano. She is a multiple award-winning dancer at Kelly's Creative Dance. She has competed regionally and nationally in competitive dance, competitive jazz dance, competitive lyrical dance, and ballet. As a passionate supporter of the armed forces and animal advocacy, she spends time at the St. Tammany Humane Society as a junior volunteer focused on their online nonprofit business. Olivia's Comeback Kids. She makes and sells bracelets with all profits donated to the Snowball Express, which serves the children of fallen military heroes as part of the Gary Sinise Foundation. Olivia is accompanied by her grandparents, Mr. Louis Jack and Mrs. Jamie Truding, as well as the Lee Road Junior High principal, Kalinda Fauntleroy. Olivia, would you come to the podium and lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Miss Olivia. We appreciate it. Miss O'Brien.
Yes, and it's our pleasure tonight to welcome Father Mark Lomax. Father Lomax is a native of New Orleans. He's been a priest for over 38 years. He first served in St. Tammany Parish as a deacon at Our Lady of the Lake in 1979 through 1980. Now, in 2001, he was deployed overseas as a chaplain during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. He returned to Our Lady of the Lake in 2013 as pastor until present, and we'd like to welcome Father Lomax.
Well, thank you for that warm welcome, and it's also a pleasure to see Mr. Stefanchak and Mr. Belisario. They have been members of congregations where I've pastored in the past. It's good to see you again, too. Let us pray to the Holy God of Israel and of us all. Gracious Lord, we ask you to guide us and to lead us, and we place our trust in your providence, because we recall the words of the prophet Jeremiah. For I know what I have in mind for you, says the Lord. I have plans to prosper you, not harm you, to give you a future filled with hope. O Lord, guide our proceedings and guide our hearts, and guide our intellect, so that the proceedings of this council may be to the benefit of your people, our nation, and our community, And we ask this trusting in you as our divine leader. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dean?
Here.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Toledano?
Present.
Mr. Tanner?
Here.
Mr. Belisario?
Here.
Mr. Lorino?
Present.
Mr. Groby?
Present.
Mr. Canulet? Miss O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Stefanczyk?
Here.
Mr. Bender?
Here.
Miss Blanchard?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. President Bristol, Madam President, would you take care of the podium?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it's my pleasure to make a presentation for our Employee of the Month. Whereas Janice Ritter has been a devoted St. Tammany Parish employee since February of 2014 and serves as Secretary in the Facilities Management Department. And whereas Janice has an outgoing, positive, can-do attitude and has an extraordinary ability to organize, effectively communicate, and accomplish every task. And whereas she has an exceptional willingness and desire to help others, and she routinely goes above and beyond what's asked of her to assist others in accomplishing their goals. And whereas Janice takes great pride in her work and is a valued member of the facilities management team. And whereas Janice Ritter is an overall outstanding employee and performs her duties in an exemplary manner. Therefore, I, Patricia Brister, as president of St. Tammany Parish, do hereby recognize the hard work and accomplishments of Janice Ritter as our Employee of the Month, February 2019. And I encourage all employees of St. Tammany Parish to thank her for her contributions and commitment to St. Tammany. We're proud to have her as part of our team. Thank you, Janice, very much. Thank you, Janice, very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam President. This one also, doesn't it? Okay. Madam President, are you going to take care of the third one? Okay, sure. Yes, would you please? Yes, sir.
Ken Kimberly, and he's going to tell you who he is and something about the Veterans Program. So, sorry, I didn't do that, Ken.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members, Madam President, and attendees. My name is Ken Kimberly, and I have had the privilege of being the 2018 chairperson for the St. Tammany Parish President's Veterans and Military Affairs Advisory Council, or VMAC, for 2018. And before we get started on the state of the veterans of St. Tammany, St. Tammany Parish lost a great American hero a week ago today, and I'd like to make a little tribute to him, if I have your permission, Mr. Chairman.
Please go.
Okay. Before we begin, then, we would like to take a moment to honor, recognize, and remember a real hero. Colonel Murphy Neal Jones, U.S. Air Force retired, passed away last Thursday, January 21st, in Wilmington, Delaware. Colonel Jones was on a mission over North Vietnam in June of 1966 when his F-105D Thunder Chief fighter jet was shot down over North Vietnam. He spent the next 6.5 years as a prisoner of war until April of 1973 when they were repatriated. Colonel Jones was a great American and good friend to many of us that knew him here in St. Tammany Parish. He is a native of Baton Rouge and attended Tulane University, playing football at both Baton Rouge Magnet High School and Tulane University. And, oh, by the way, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame of both of those athletic organizations. Until January 2018, after his military career ended, Colonel Jones spent most of his life here in St. Tammany Parish with his lovely wife, Glenda. Colonel Jones has now reached out and touched the face of God. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, a little bit of history about VMAC, Veterans Military Affairs Advisory Council. The VMAC was started in July of 2012 by Resolution C-3456 of the St. Tammany Parish Council and the parish president. We, the VMAC, have 20 volunteer members who are appointed by the parish president. From the onset, the VMAC, a platform, if you will, is intended to be a cooperative endeavor among the appointed VMAC members and representatives of our many veteran service organizations and nonprofit organizations. With cooperative endeavors, teamwork, and partnerships, the coming together as a collective body, the synergy can be realized as a value added or resource multiplier to the benefits of our veterans. It is not just veterans helping veterans, but more importantly, committed communities helping veterans. We are all in this together. Members and friends of the VMAC are the eyes and ears of the parish president and the parish council for the 30,000 veterans that we have living here in St. Tammany Parish. And they are members of the active duty, the Guard, the Reserve, and just former military members living in this parish. The estimated population of St. Tammany Parish is 257,000 people, as we agreed to a couple weeks ago. And about 12%, remember that number, of our parish citizens are veterans. Just as an FYI, only 0.5% of the Americans serve in the U.S. Armed Forces. So we can be proud of our veterans here.
Yes, sir.
The VMAC continues to work to assist those veterans as well as partner with a multitude of veteran service organizations, along with our nonprofit organizations in that effort. Additionally, we owe a debt of gratitude to those whose life work it is to assist our veterans daily. These include many veteran service organizations and nonprofit organizations. We would also like to provide you with just some of the areas the VMAC and friends have proudly been involved in or have contributed to over the last year, 2018. The Veterans and Military Affairs Advisory Council met formally 7 times this year. St. Tammany Parish Resolution has a mandate to meet 4 times a year. Transportation. We will continue to work to ensure that our veterans are educated on transportation resources available through Coast, Star Transit, and ride shares to the essential services. For example, the Federal Veterans Administration shuttle van does a twice-a-daily shuttle from Hammond through Slidell, then travels to the state-of-the-art Veterans Medical Center in New Orleans. Education. We help ensure that our veterans are aware of their educational benefits, such as the GI Bill and other financial resources, to continue with their education, whether an institution such as the North Shore Techno Community College in Lacombe or any other colleges or universities. Employment. We advocate that our veterans connect with the Louisiana Workforce Commission and the Veterans Affairs Veterans Employment Outreach Advocates. We feel that this is an area that needs a little bit more strengthening within the parish here. Healthcare. We will continue to champion for proper health care for our veterans, and especially behavioral health care. Suicide by veterans is estimated to be over 8,000 per year nationally. That's about 22 veterans a day have completed suicide. One of our goals this year is to recommit our collective efforts to prevent veteran suicide. A lot of veterans' outpatient care can be provided by the Veterans Affairs Community-Based Outpatient Clinic right here in Slidell, which is an outstanding clinic for our outpatient service to our veterans. Small business. The VMAC supports the Small Businesses Administration, or SBA, boot camps and entrepreneurship for veterans. We work with the Louisiana Workforce Commission, the Veterans Administration, to provide the employment of veterans. Services, and this is kind of near and dear to my heart. The VMAC is honored to help provide a proper and dignified burial for our veterans who do not have family to claim their remains. At Southeast Louisiana Veterans Cemetery, committal services with full military honors, we stand for those veterans because they stood for us. When a veteran is homeless or has no family, the VMAC and the VMAC friends are there as their family. In 2018, there were 6 veterans that had committal services and full military honors, because no veteran should ever have a committal service without no family member present. And I know that Madam President Pat Brister has received the military honors flag, from the military representative on more than 2 or 3 occasions, and we thank you for that, ma'am. Veterans Court. Good news. Veterans Court opened for business in April of 2017 with a 22nd Judicial District Court. The Veterans Court is about to finish its 2nd year. This specialty court will give veterans who are suffering and may have landed on the wrong side of the law the opportunity to rehabilitate themselves. The VMAC is supportive of the efforts of the 22nd Judicial District Court's specialty courts, including the Veterans Court. Additionally, we continue to look forward to the incredible work that Parish President Pat Brister, Safe Haven Campus Initiative, and other behavioral health care organizations and advocates will accomplish to assist veterans in coming years. A lot of veterans come home with post-traumatic syndrome or mild traumatic brain injury. Some veterans turn to substance abuse and chemical dependency as their escape from the horrors of wartime service. The benefit of this specialties court, Veterans Court, which we have about 22 veterans now in that particular court, if the veterans complete the program as laid out by Judge Ray Childress and others, in time there will be no record of these wrongdoings when background checks are conducted for jobs and other purposes. So that's a big benefit for that Veterans Court, giving it a plug. Okay, Wreaths Across America is a national program where participants and volunteers gather at our Southeast Louisiana Veterans Cemetery, Camp Villery in Slidell, each December. This year, about 1,400 wreaths were placed on the grave sites of our veterans. We thank St. Tammany Parish and their outreach for this program. A program that remembers our fallen veteran, honors our military men and women serving, and to teach our young children the importance of our freedom. I was hoping that 5th grade girl was still here. Freedom. As a wreath is laid at the headstone, the family member and volunteers say the name of the deceased along with other information on the headstone. This way our fallen veterans are not forgotten as we say their name. We are so encouraged that we already have 586 wreaths as a credit for the Wreaths Across America in December 2019. Veterans' economic impact to St. Tammany Parish and the state of Louisiana. These are some gee whiz numbers for you all. Veterans within St. Tammany Parish have a positive economic impact of almost $89 million and Veterans Affairs compensation and pensions to some 18,700 Louisiana veterans and their families. This is for fiscal year 2017 data. Veterans within the state of Louisiana have a positive economic impact of $1.3 billion in VA compensation and pensions. Again, fiscal year 2017 data. Barksdale Air Force Base, Bossier City, Fort Polk, Leesville, Alexandria area, Bill Chase Naval Air Station, Jackson Barracks of the Louisiana National Guard, and others with their active Guard, Reserve warriors, defense employees, and defense contractors contribute an estimated $8 billion to the state of Louisiana, the positive economic impact benefits. And I would like to, with your permission, turn the next part on veterans homelessness and what we're doing to Ed Cowboy Lewis, the man in black back there. With your permission?
Absolutely, Mr. Ken, and please stay up there. Please stay up there with him, though, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Ken. I don't read from paper because I'm sorry. I rather speak from what's in here. Since May 3rd, and I have had the chance to address y'all not that long ago, we've had 13 vets go through Camp Nora. We have our 14th vet that's due to come in that is coming through the Veterans Court program. So he'll be coming out very shortly. The homeless program that we have in St. Tammany Parish is not as obvious as it may be like in downtown New Orleans, but people, it's here. Last Monday, before the cold snap, we went out with a van full of blankets and hygiene and passed them out to people that had no place to go for the night when the cold weather was coming. VMAC has been very much supportive of Camp Nora. So has members of the council and people in the audience. I'm honored to say that Camp Nora is moving forward, but we're lacking. And I'm going to give you a prime example. Earlier this afternoon, I received a phone call from a 70-year-old vet. Was going to be evicted, was going to wind up living in their automobile, which was a small little car. I couldn't help him. He's a female vet. We have no programs for female veterans. I no sooner got here, I spoke to Madam President, a couple of members of the audience. We've already got the ball rolling to keep this lady from being homeless. That's what counts. We hope to move forward in a very near future with a national fundraiser we're putting together to where we can obtain a 4-bedroom house here in the St. Tammany area that we can convert to a homeless female shelter to coincide with Camp Nora, which is a homeless male shelter. So with y'all's support and any assistance you can throw our direction, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Cowboy. And there is really, it seems invisible within the parish, but there is a need for affordable housing for not just veterans, but non-veterans also, and the ones that are homeless. No, we don't want the 70-year-old female Marine veteran living in her car at the end of the month. So we sense a little bit of urgency there. Finally, as your BMAC, we are your eyes and ears to the status of veterans in this parish. One of our missions is to support the venues where veterans are connected to the benefits that they have so honorably earned and deserve. Not only are our veterans connected to our many veteran service organizations, They are also connected to the many nonprofit organizations that assist, support, and advocate for our amazing veterans. We're almost finished. So we can report to you that in our opinion, the state of the veterans of St. Tammany Parish on a scale from fair, good, excellent, or outstanding in the aggregate is very good to excellent and continues to improve. The VMAC and their friends remain committed to the well-being of all of our brothers and sisters who have honorably served all of us. And from my heart, as an Army veteran that served 29 plus years, as a resident of St. Tammany Parish for 29 years, and a proud member of the VMAC, I can also report to you that we have a strong, committed, dedicated, caring, and compassionate group of St. Tammany Parish government leaders and citizens that advocate, assist, and support our veterans, and for that, we are very, very grateful. We would like to have any veterans present to stand up so that we can recognize, acknowledge, and thank them for their service. Please stand, veterans. That concludes my presentation.
Mr. Ken and Mr. Cowboy, on behalf of the council, I'd just like to say thank you, God bless you, and I'd just like to stand up and give you a round of applause, and I hope everybody joins. You know, when you sit here and you hear such heroes come up to the podium and speak and talk about issues, and then we get into other issues, and it makes me realize that there's a lot more important things going on that sometimes we all do not pay enough attention to. And so, once again, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll go to appointments. Appointment number 1, resolution to appoint Robert Cook Sr., term expired, or appoint Alex Corello to the Tourist and Convention Commission. I believe Mr. Corello is here and would like to come up and address the council. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. How are y'all?
Fine, thank you.
My name is Alex Carolla, and I'm the Director of Culture and Public Affairs for the City of Sardell, and I stand before y'all as a possible appointment to the Tourist and Convention Board. Tourism is a great passion of mine, essential to the quality of life here in St. Tammany Parish, and it's something I do for the city, and so I'm honored for everybody's support. Thank you all very much. I do understand that Mr. Cook wants to continue to serve on the board, so I do want to wish him the best and the Tourist Commission the best as well. And I would like to rescind my nomination tonight so that he can continue to serve. When the time is right, I would like to let y'all know that I'm willing to serve, to step up and serve in any capacity that the St. Tammany Parish and the Tourist Commission, in any way I can help in the future, I'm here to serve, and I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Corello, thank you. Thank you very much, and we really appreciate your willingness to serve on the boards, and we have your name, and we know exactly where to find you now, sir. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, first of all, we would like to acknowledge Mr. Carolla and his interest in the Tourist Commission. And as the chairman of that commission for the last 2 years, I would certainly say to you, we invite enthusiastic individuals as yourself to want to serve the Tourist Commission, because the need for people like you are certainly has certainly expanded. And so when that time comes, I will remember Mr. Alex Corolla. With that being said, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Robert Cook Sr. to fill the vacant position on the Tourist Commission.
Ms. Blanchard? Thank you. Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Ms. Blanchard. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. Ms. Blanchard?
Let's try that again. Thank you. I just want to take a moment. We have so many various boards that we try to fill and people that we need to serve, and sometimes it's hard to find a person to serve on the various boards. So we truly do appreciate, Mr. Corolla, you wanting to serve on this board, and we look forward to in the future having the opportunity for you to do so. And we encourage citizens to come forward when they see something of their passion and ask us to serve on these various boards and committees. It really helps us. We want people that are passionate and want to serve. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, resolution number 2, to appoint Edwin Ed Canton and Mary Ann Dutton, terms expired, to the Hospital Service District Number 2, Slidell Memorial Hospital, Permanent Nominating Committee. Mr. Balisaro?
So moved for both partners.
Second by Mr. Stefanczyk. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. Number 3, resolution to appoint Ann Boucher to a vacant position on Recreation District Number 11. Mr. Taladano?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to offer a motion to reappoint her, or to rather appoint Ann to that position. Thank you.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Seeing no one else, please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. Thank you. Number 4, resolution to appoint Eric Sonia to replace William Frosch, resigned, to Recreation District Number 6. Mr. Tanner?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. Members of the council, I would like to request a personal privilege to discuss the moratorium that I presented at our council meeting on December 6, 2018, if possible.
So moved.
Thank you. Firstly, let me thank President Brister and her team for their efforts and success in securing funding for Phase 1 of the moratorium for traffic study needed for Highway 22. The initial phase of this study will be done to analyze traffic patterns only, and that project is in the process of moving through the Regional Planning Commission and DOTD now. I'd also like to extend my thanks to President Brister, Mr. Fontenot, and Ms. Steyer for their leadership in securing funding from the RPC and DOTD to construct a much-needed roundabout at intersection 22 and Highway 1085. This project is in the process of moving through the DOTD at this time also. Unfortunately, there's some bad news to go along with this positive progress. My moratorium was scheduled to last 6 months, but I promised everyone to keep everybody updated, and it will need to be extended, as I've recently learned that the second phase of this study will not be presented at the RPC until July of this year. The bottom line is, with the work by President Brister, HUD administration, DOTD, we have secured a roundabout that we desperately need for safety on Highway 22 and 1085. So I appreciate it, members of the council. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the consent calendar. Any items not pulled from the consent calendar are automatically approved in whole by one vote. Items pulled from the consent calendar are discussed and voted upon individually. A majority of vote of the entire council is required to adopt the consent calendar. Ordinance for introduction that are pulled, or ordinance number 86141. Resolutions that are pulled, number 1, C-6057, number 7, C-6063, number 8, C-6064, number 9, C-6065, number 10, C-6066. That's what I have at the present time. Mr. Dean, do you have anything, sir?
No, sir.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
No, sir.
Mr. Thompson? Mr. Toledano?
Mr. Marino, did I understand you to mention in ordinance for introduction, number 7? I thought you only called off number 8. I thought 7 was to be pulled too.
I only have, which one?
Okay.
7 and 8? Just 8, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it should have been just 8, Mr. Toledano.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tanner?
None, thank you.
Mr. Balisaro?
None.
Mr. Groban?
None.
Ms. O'Brien?
None.
Mr. Stefani?
No.
Mr. Bender?
No, sir.
Ms. Blanchard?
No.
Mr. Smith?
None.
Thank you. Could I have a motion? I'm sorry, anything from the administration? Anything from the legal team? Nothing? Anyone from the audience would like anything pulled from the calendar? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tanner, second by Mr. Balisaro. Ready? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 1 absent.
Okay. Number 8, ordinance calendar number 6141, ordinance to amend CS 17-3823, the 2018 through 2022 capital improvement budget and capital assets. Mr. Toledano.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Toledano, second by Mr. Dean. Thank you. Resolution number 1, resolution CS number C-6057, resolution to concur with the zoning commission approval of a variance regarding a monument sign. Mr. Dean.
Yes, sir, thank you. After discussion with, this was something that was on last month's agenda, after discussion with development legal, it was determined that we should not have introduced an ordinance with regards to the monument sign at the Shell station, but adopted a resolution instead, and this is the resolution. So later on, when the ordinance comes up, I'll ask to remove it. But anyway, I'd like to make a motion on this.
Make a motion to pull it on this, right? Okay, second by Mr. Thompson. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 1 absent.
Number 7, resolution CS number C-6063, resolution to concur with Mandeville annexation and rezoning of 1.0280 acres from Parish HC-1 to Mandeville B-2. Mr. Balisaro.
I'll make a motion to concur with the annexation request.
second by Ms. O'Brien. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 8, Resolution CS number C-6064, resolution to concur with Mandeville annexation and rezoning of 285 acres from Parish A-1 to Mandeville 0. Mr. Balisaro.
I move to concur with the Mandeville annexation request.
Second by Ms. O'Brien. Please vote.
Mr. Stefanczyk? Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 9, Resolution CS number C-6065, resolution to amend ordinance CS number 18-3977 to make changes to the 2019 capital improvement budget and capital assets.
So moved.
Mr. Toledano?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 10, Resolution CS number C-6066, resolution to establish warranty and performance obligations. Mr. Balisaro.
Yes, there's been amendments to the warranty letters request. Beatico Creek Parcel 12A is moving from extending and keeping it to releasing it. Second one is Spring Lakes Phase 1 from calling it to a release. The developers in each of these situations had worked out the plan to move things forward, so we're changing it to a release. Like a motion.
Second by Mr. Toledano. Please vote. And then I need to vote again, right?
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Okay, we need another motion by Mr. Balisaro,
Sure. Yes.
second by Mr. Tanner. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. We'll go to the appeals. Appeal number 1, Guy W. Alano, representing the Millennium Group, appealing the Zoning Commission denial on December 4th, 2018, to rezone 6.873 acres located west of Harborview Court, north of Lakeview Drive, from A-6 multifamily residential district to PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay, District 13. Ms. Blanchett. You got Michelle on?
Okay. I make a motion to postpone.
There's a motion to postpone. Is there a second? Mr. Stefanczyk, second. We have one card from a Mr. Joseph. Okay. Okay, right. We have one card from Mr. Joseph Asani. Joseph? Just so you know, this issue will not be voted up or down one way or the other tonight.
Yes,
It will be coming up at the next meeting.
Yes,
But you drove here and you put a card in and you want to speak, so you have absolutely the right to speak. So go ahead, sir.
I really didn't want to speak. But I didn't know what the procedure is, and I didn't know if we were going to postpone with our last meeting. I did understand that we were, But I wanted to make an appearance here just to let everybody know that we serious about trying to get help from the council in rezoning, and that we'll do whatever it takes, whatever St. Tammany wants, in order to bring that zoning back to what it originally was. And that's really the purpose of my attendance here tonight, just to let you know.
Well, thank you, sir, and I can tell you Ms. Blanchard will take care of that, and you'll have good representation over there, and she'll have it at the next meeting, but thank you
Right.
very much. So please vote on the postponement. Thank you, sir.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Okay, ordinance for adoption. Ordinance calendar number 6065, ordinance to amend the parish code to add new section to regulate fire alarm system. Mr. Canuletta is not here. Mr. Balisaro?
Make a motion to approve with incorporating the 5 different amendments over time.
Okay, there's a motion to incorporate, approve with the amendments as proposed.
To amend.
To amend, do we have a second? Motion by, second by Mr. Grovey. Mr. Tanner? Hold on 1 second, sir.
It's amendment.
It's amendment.
You said ordinance first, right?
Yes, sir.
You corrected
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Steve? I'll get you, Jim.
Okay, get this on. I've been through this thing, and I went to one of the meetings with them. I expressed my concern about the way this ordinance came in existence and then how it's going to be handled. I have, understand you just approved the ones that Gene and them submitted in amendment number 5. I think that's the one I seen, the last one I seen. So, but I really think there's some more amendments, and I'd like to do them one at a time if we could, because I think there may be a difference in what the council wants to look at in either one. They may say yes or no to each one of them.
Sure.
The first one that I would want to look at is on the, under the whereases. My belief is very strongly that the public needs to know who's asking for this, that, and I think that it's one of those things that we should put in the ordinance. And the way I want to put that in there would be to say, under the second whereas in the ordinance, whereas the fire chiefs of St. Tammany Parish have requested the adoption of this resolution by the parish council for the purpose of enforcement of their respective districts. And that's what I would like to add in at the very beginning of the second whereas.
That's the one that I have in front of me that's added in there as we speak. Number 5.
No.
I don't think so.
No, let's do
I don't know
number
what you
5.
got, but that's not amendment number 5.
For everybody's understanding what Steve's talking about, everybody has the 5th Amendment. They do not have what Steve is talking about. I've not seen any documentation on what Steve has, because
Right.
I believe there he was working on an amendment to draft number 5. Is that what you're talking
That is-
about?
that
The
is
way-
correct.
Yeah, but you didn't say it that way. That's why I'm questioning. I saw that, and I really didn't have any, what I was going to ask you to do, because they are not that significant, is that let's take care of the amendments from the original through the 5. And then I do
Alright.
not believe what you have there is a substantive change. You know, if we get the votes, then we would adopt it next month, unless Emily or Gordon tell me I'm incorrect.
You already approved the 5,
We already approved the
right?
5.
No.
Oh, we
No.
didn't
No,
vote?
we haven't
not
voted on it yet.
Okay.
We just have a first and
Okay.
second.
Now, I think you ought to approve those, and then I would go ahead and make mine after that then.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and vote on the 5, and then we'll come back and Mr. Stefanczyk will make his, and I think you had those highlighted, Ms. Cuvion, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay, so please, let me see. Staff, did you have something? Mr. Bender?
Carla has.
Carl? Yes. He had the wrong side there for me.
Am I on? Y'all might want to
Yes,
take
ma'am.
public comment before you vote on the amendments.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Take your public comment
Okay.
on the amendments
Perfect.
before you vote on those first set of amendments.
Okay. We have one person that would like to comment, Trevor Santos. Mr. Santos? Okay. And then I'll get you, Gerald.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening,
Chairman, Madam President, fellow council, members of the fire service, as well as the public. Thank you for having me. I've been asked to speak on behalf of Marshal H. Butch Browning, your state fire marshal, who unfortunately could not be here tonight. He certainly sends his apologies and his appreciation to the fire service as well as to the public for allowing this resolution to this ordinance, amendment, I should say, to go forward. In the world of emergency services, we've learned to be able to control a lot of things. Unfortunately for him tonight, flights was not that case, so he was grounded in Shreveport, but again, he sends his apologies. I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to congratulate this body. Being a supervisor on the South Shore for the State Fire Marshal's Office, I'm privy to have command of Orleans Parish, Jefferson Parish, St. Bernard, as well as Plaquemine. So I'm able to see a great deal of projects which lead to, obviously, economic development come across our desk, my desk, that is. And somehow or another, and I would imagine that Mayor Cantrell, if she was here, she would probably kick me, but the growth over here is phenomenal, and enough that we're oftentimes trying to find how might we be able to fill all of the work that is flourishing in this parish. So certainly congratulations to you all and those that are impacted by that. But with that being said, I understand that this amendment has been going forward for some time now. And I'd like to bring up a few points as it relates to the concerns of the fire service. And I'll start, if you'll allow me, by a letter that was drafted by the fire marshal on December 10th. Friends, let me first thank you and the service and leadership of St. Tammany Parish. Clearly, your public is well represented and protected by the work you do. I have been working with the fire service for some time now to help reduce false fire alarms within the parish. As you know, these instances pose danger to responders and to the public as it relates to emergency response and also committing of resources that might simultaneously be needed for other urgent emergency calls. The OSFM has worked for many years to ensure that party and professionalism exist in the alarm industry, and that this has ensured safety and consumer protection. Our office is charged with licensing enforcement of some 9,000 installers in the state at this time, and we have created a very successful partnership. Many false alarms are eliminated through fire code enforcement upon required systems in commercial buildings. Unfortunately, non-required systems are commonly found in private dwellings, fall totally on the owner to voluntarily repair and maintain. Each year, fire departments record excessive amounts of false responses that cost them valuable public dollars. This proposed ordinance, 6065, represents collaboration between the fire service and the alarm industry to ensure workable solutions in repair, maintenance, and operation of alarm and detection systems. If you'll now allow, I noticed a few key points here which you may take into consideration. First off, the proposal is to help, obviously, draw down the tax on fire service response and see to it that the dollars that they're entrusted with are appropriately utilized. This is not designed to be considered a tax on the constituents, but in effect, a mechanism to educate and curb behavior of the parties that are seemingly utilizing these services continuously. The alarms are not to be, or the penalties are not to be construed that if there is a severe weather, power outage, transmission, or line failure, or an act of God or terrorism, that the parties affected by this, that they would be penalized. Additionally, there is a grace period when this is adopted that will allow for compliance to take place. The compliance by the alarm owner and their documenting their ability to comply with this act will allow for consideration in reducing their fines. And additionally, the tracking of these penalties will restart every calendar year. So we know that the sheriff's office, one of the main enforcement bodies, there issues tickets. What the fire service is trying to accomplish is a little bit more compelling and compassionate in that there are several warnings that go out before these fines take place. And again, it's in the best interest of the public in minimizing the calls to service. So I can tell you that the Louisiana Fire Sprinkler Association and this office stands with the St. Tammany Fire Chiefs Association. We'll hope that you will take this into consideration. And the fire marshal has certainly made clear that he is available for any further questions, and we do appreciate your time in allowing us to represent these gentlemen here behind me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Got one more card. Sure, Mr. Santos? Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Santos while he's up there? Mr. Bender. Mr. Bender?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Santos, because of the area that you work in,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
that you mentioned to us in the beginning, I guess my question in the area that you serve, okay, are most of your false alarms due to equipment malfunction or a combination of equipment malfunction, let's just say a little bit of, if not vandalism, somebody pulling a fire alarm, I don't know, what did we used to call that? Juvenile delinquent. But, sometimes it's a kid, whatever. What's the percentage of false alarms in your area that are equipment malfunction versus somebody messing around?
I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, we have seen a robust amount of impairments to fire alarm systems in my region, specifically Orleans Parish. Understanding that fire alarm systems are complex by design, that certainly can be anywhere from malfunctioning pull stations that you see here on the wall to malfunctioning devices, notification devices, strobes. It can certainly be anywhere from a battery to, in fact, again, line transmission problems. So it's very hard for me to gauge that answer to you. As far as it relates to, children pulling alarms, I think we've gotten a lot better in educating them on deterrence, if you will. And so I would be remiss to give you false information on that, but I can tell you that in all that I've seen, there are a great deal of responses.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask him a follow-up to
Yes,
his
sir.
first answer?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sir, your first answer about combination batteries, alarm problems, whatever. Are most of these in buildings, apartment complexes? What percentage of them are in homes?
Residential versus commercial.
Right, and my question with that is, when you see these malfunctions, no matter where it's located, commercial, industrial, residential, obviously there's a company involved in this in terms of the maintenance of the equipment. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So on the South Shore, the false alarm that can occur, okay, I'm limiting to your knowledge, the false alarm that can occur is by a system that is under an agreement with some type of company that's in the fire alarm business, including the fire alarm maintenance business, response business, et cetera. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So they then have the ability to correct the problem should they, for example, if you had this ordinance on the South Shore, should they get a first warning? Would that be correct? No matter, this is my last question, Mr. Chairman, but I want to get this nailed down because I think it's important.
Please, certainly.
If we're talking about a property manager of a good-sized building, okay, there's a company maintaining that system.
That is correct,
All
yes.
right. So they know that a false alarm occurred. The property manager knows it. If it's a residence and there's maintenance on it, they know it. In this case, I'm not asking for your opinion on it. A warning would be given. My question is, in your area, then that maintenance company is aware, and do they have the ability to correct that problem?
I think it would ultimately go back to the ownership of the system, sir. I think that by having a party to service, service versus enforcement is a little different, as you may understand. So as many times as that party may speak and advise contractually, listen, this is causing the fire department to respond. I don't believe that ultimately they would have any enforcement capability to mitigate the responses that these gentlemen are in fact going to. And I apologize if I'm not clear.
I'm simply asking if I could interrupt.
Please.
Real quick question. If they're maintaining the system and they're being paid to maintain the system, in your area, only your knowledge of your area,
Okay.
do they have an obligation to fix the problem?
They have a responsibility to notify the ownership of the problem, and therefore the owner would have to elect to allow that service work to occur.
Okay.
So I would certainly, I would have to advocate on both sides.
I understand.
On both sides of the aisle. And I also leave you with, I'm unable to provide clear data as it relates to residential, which I'm sure may be a big component of this as well, because this office is enforced or tasked with the enforcement of commercial structures. So we don't have a footing in private 1- and 2-family dwellings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you all.
Wait one second, Mr. Santa. We have a few more. We have a few more. Mr. Tanner. You got Tanner on.
My question is, does Orleans and the parishes that you work in, do they have an ordinance that fines people who have false alarms?
I do not have that information in front of me right now. I do believe that there is I do believe in Orleans there is an ordinance for false alarms, but I think that would be more geared to children per se in schools or those that would be maliciously actually pulling fire alarms. I think we're talking about a combination of maintenance as well as intentional acts. So to be clear, again, I believe that the Orleans Parish, now please don't quote me because I don't have that ordinance here in front of me, but their enforcement is more or less to curb the intentional deployment of a fire alarm versus the maintenance, which I think is up for discussion here.
In other words, you're telling me if a kid pulls a fire alarm in a school, the kid's responsible for that or the school?
I would say so, yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Tanner. Mr. Fawcett.
I'm getting some of the same answers from you that I got from the Chief Kaufman when he presented this to us, and I have a couple of concerns. One of them, during your speech, you said, we control the commercial side of the house very well. It's the individuals that we're concerned with and going after. And in the discussions I had in that meeting was they're not going to go after the private individuals. They're going to go after the ones who have, who build complexes or whatever it is, and the State Farm Marshal's supposed to inspect those to make sure they're in operating order before they let them begin inhabiting them. So, I mean, I have a problem if you're going to go after the private citizens out here. And I think to me, that's something that I really can't get over with this, is because when I ask for information about how many false alarms we had, they presented us a bunch of numbers, and you sort of cited the same thing, saying, well, we have all these things, and we're just going to go and put them into place. And I'm saying, wait a minute, if you're going to have fire alarms and you're going to tell me how much they cost, don't include the cost of the people that are already on duty. Because if they're on duty, they're being paid whether they're or not. And all the cost information I saw said we're charging, or we're talking about the cost of the firemen who are on duty at that time, which I think skews the heck out of those numbers. So those are the kind of things that I'm concerned with on this ordinance, and from the standpoint of where they came and presented it to us. I just want to make sure that we're not going after private individuals in this. I know this is going to have to lay over for a month, and before we can hash all of it all the way out, but I want to see something to ensure that you're going to go after the people who build the buildings, or who install the fire alarm systems, or who do that, or who maintain them, as Mr. Bender said, and not the people in the homes that have a private system in their home that may get triggered for some reason. Anyhow, that's all I have on this part of it. I have some amendments later on, Mr. Beck.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Santos, this is a kind of a follow-up to my colleague's question that he was asking about some numbers that you weren't able to provide him in your area concerning percentages of incidences. And mine has to do with your understanding of ability to provide us with information that would identify the occurrence of acts of God that that causes a lot of false alarms, activations to occur. Would you be able to provide us with any information or numbers as it relates to those kinds of incidents?
I would yield that back to my colleagues in the back. They may be able to provide you with better data on that. And to follow up on Mr. Councilman's previous comment, I would again say that this is not a targeting platform. This is again to reinforce, the ability to respond to those that are in an actual emergency, and the grace periods, coupled with the ability to meet and comply with this before any monetary fines are in place, is certainly several steps down the line. So I don't feel as if there's any targeting intended by this. And yes, these buildings have been required to be outfitted with these systems, but they're required to be outfitted with them because the Life Safety Code has determined through a number of tragedies that they are necessary, and that when they work and the fire department has the ability to respond in a timely manner, the cost to commercial loss and loss of life is drastically reduced.
Thank you very much. I have a specific reason for directing my inquiry to that particular area, because I, as many of my colleagues know, and for the general public as well, and those who may be interested in knowing, I have a direct affiliation with a commercial establishment that has been noted as having some false alarms. So This act of God occurrence, though, is one that I'm very familiar with, and it does cause some tribulation, not only for the owner, but it also causes some issues for the monitoring company as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Malasero.
Okay, just want to address one of the comments that Steve, I actually placed him on the work group, and he attended one meeting, I think a part of a second, I may be wrong on that. When this was brought up on the cost, it was given as an example. What Chief Kaufman gave was a FEMA profile on what it would cost based on the normal FEMA profile when you do a cost analysis. That didn't mean that that was additive cost on top of that, because the only additive cost is the variable cost, the fuel, and other disposals when they make that run, then come back to the station. But it's just, it lets everybody see how much it costs to do that run if it was born as a brand-new cost. But the reality is it's the variable cost. The other one that he brought, he was concerned about private citizens. That was talked about several times, and I believe the attorney said that we had to have those in the ordinance, and either Emily or Cardin could respond to that, because the problems are not the individual homeowners. It's in the commercial operations, and we have some who are major repeat offenders. And that's the concern. In one of the facilities, then I know the fire chief or someone's going to talk about it, and it's bothersome to me. It's so normal as an occurrence that the people do not leave the apartment complex.
You raise a very good point, Mr. Chairman, not to cut you off. I often, preach this in my day-to-day enforcement opportunities when I cross, our constituents. You're right. You're absolutely right. It seems as if it is never an emergency until the emergency is unfolding. I cannot tell you between schools and hospitals and many other places where an alarm's going off, and we've gotten so good at drills and we've gotten so good at early detection that to actually say, snap, it's time to evacuate the building. And that's obviously a whole nother side, but it does directly play into what you're saying. For those that are affected, that may be sharing a dwelling. Absolutely.
To Emily, on the including individual homes in it, was it because of the legal issue?
We didn't make a distinction based on commercial versus residential, but the alarm system, as defined in the ordinance, does not pertain to local alarms. It's only alarm systems that are monitored by the fire districts. So if it's a residence that has a local alarm, then that's not an alarm system that's covered by this ordinance.
Thank you.
Mr. Santos, first of all, thank you for coming. I know you wasn't expecting and preparing for what I might call a drilling, but that's okay, but you did very well. I have one question. I was told a couple of days ago that the state has a law already in place that would do exactly what we're doing now. Is that correct or incorrect?
I would say that's incorrect in the aspect of the impact to this as it relates to residents, as I previously spoke on, does not affect our ability to oversee residential properties. I'm sure that we would be able to get you some information or further research specifically what you're asking for if we were able to have a side conversation, which we can do that for you in the near future.
So right now, you standing up there and me looking at you, you cannot cite a law that the state has that would supersede what we're trying to do here? Or would it be that the state may look at what we're trying to do here and prepare a law for the whole state?
I would tell you that we're on a different end of the spectrum because we're not in fact responding to these emergencies. So we may say, okay, you have to maintain because of the occupancy or the occupant load or a number of other factors, but we're not. This ordinance is focused on the reduction as it relates to the efficiency and the cost of the actual response.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and have a great evening.
Thank you, sir.
We have one more. I think, Mr. Chief Kaufman. Chief, now, just to let you know, I gave, actually, Mr. Balisaro had the clock on for 5 minutes, and it should have been 3 minutes, but I know you're very familiar with this process, so you can get it to us in 3 minutes, and then we'll have some questions for you. But go ahead, my friend.
I appreciate it. I just want to first start off and say thank you to the committee members who participated. I wish everyone would have attended all 4 meetings. We spent in excess of 8 hours in one of the conference rooms here, and we talked about everything that's been brought up tonight at least 10 times to try to make it clear. And I just want to say I think the process did some vetting, that we were able to basically negotiate some people's concerns. I think we addressed all of them in the process. I think the process enhanced the language in the ordinance, so we appreciate that. I do want to make some comments on a couple of the things that were brought up. I think Trevor referenced some of the bullet points that we put together where it can easily be referenced to the ordinance. I think some people did not understand the language that they were reading. And all I have to say in the public safety, it was the purpose of this ordinance. And having equipment responding, quite frankly, up to 10 miles per hour over the speed limit to false alarms that are repeated is just, quite frankly, unacceptable. The cost, Gene, you explained it, I couldn't have done it better. It costs in our district $750 for every 30 minutes for the equipment and personnel. That was a FEMA schedule guideline of taxpayer money being wasted. And then when it takes you away from an actual 911 alarm or cardiac arrest, you get the next closest unit. So life is our #1 priority in what we do in the fire service. I would not want to have that on my shoulders, that we didn't do everything in our power to put an ordinance together to mitigate false alarms. And I think that was the purpose and the intent of the ordinance. We have one of our complexes on the east side that is doubling the capacity. It's the #1 offender in our district. So everything we talked about goes back to, there was some question on why is somebody having to pay a fine. The one part that was left out in the discussion is the alarm company has to be authorized and paid to do the repair of the malfunction. So that was the part that happens that allows this to continue to happen, and we continue to waste our resources over and over again. So that's where it doesn't get fixed. And the individuals who may pull an alarm, which happens on a regular basis, you know, there's some things we're recommending to put in place, but those alarms can be stopped, and we think, language in this ordinance that can help us do that and, you know, and mitigate this across the parish. The data, Mr. Stefanczyk, that we put out originally was a snapshot throughout the parish, not just on one side. Can we reset that, please?
Yes, sir. Now we'll give you another minute. Go ahead, sir.
And I say we did our due diligence, we did our homework on the data. In addition to, I brought up the risk of the public while we're responding, Code 3, lights and sirens. Fire District 2 in Madisonville, they actually had an accident coming back from a false alarm for the second time, and it cost $85,000 to fix that fire truck. Yes, it's covered under insurance. But if they didn't have the second false alarm, they wouldn't have been where they were to be hit. They were not at fault. So these are the repeated things that happen. It brings you across your district, brings you out of the service areas that the trucks are actually housed to run to these calls. So it's definitely an issue. You know, we are progressive. I hope the state of Louisiana use this as a model ordinance, is what the discussion is that may happen at the state level based on what we have done right here in St. Tammany Parish. So I ask you tonight to continue to be a progressive parish, embrace this ordinance in the act of public safety, and support it. Thank you.
Chief, you can go ahead and stay there. I'm going to just touch on a couple of things for me. Gene and I and all the councilmen have been involved in this, and I can understand everybody's concerns. There's a lot of concerns out there. But for me, the concern is very simple: safety.
Absolutely.
If somebody in District 4, in my district, is having a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, or another automobile accident, you pick whatever one you want to pick, and someone's alarm goes off, that it's the 5th time after you have notified them 4 times, not 1 time, not 2 times, not 3 times, 4 times. And that man can't get to that man's house because that alarm has gone off 4 times prior, and for whatever reason, guard or whatever, that shouldn't happen.
We have a chance to be proactive tonight.
It should not happen.
Absolutely.
And so I support this 100% based on that. It's a safety issue. We are giving everyone in this ordinance a chance to fix their alarms 4 times, and then they can appeal it again.
Yes.
5 times. By golly, I don't think lightning strikes twice in the same spot.
The only thing
So how's it going to hit this alarm 5 times?
It's gross negligence.
So
yes.
bottom line for me, it's a safety issue, and that's where I stand. Mr. Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, Chief, one of the things that I was going to comment on, our chairman just commented on, okay, which is the warnings and so forth, okay. But, and Chief, I want to say, and you know that I attended several of the meetings. There were a few conflicts, and I always realize that when we have 12 people coming to a meeting, you can't ask all 12, can you make this date and time? Right. So I wish I could have made every one of them, but I think I made enough to understand the whole concept here. One of the things that, and Chief, I'm going to ask a question and make comment, because it's not only about whether or not any of us attended a meeting or more, but we have a number of council members that obviously we can't put every one of us on a work group, okay? Mm-hmm. And we have citizens out there right now that might be listening and paying attention. But Chief, you made a good point, and that is in joining with what Mr. Lorino said, you're traveling at a high rate of speed, okay? We all know who have driven a long time. When you see a fire truck, fire engine, you move to one side, an ambulance, you move to one side or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there is some danger to the people in the fire equipment and people on the road, okay? It's an emergency. Right. That would be clear. We don't know it's a false alarm. You don't know it's a false alarm, okay? You know, what the reason that I'm strongly leaning towards yes on this is that you said it earlier. You've got a large complex, whether it's east or west, and they're a repeated offender. Well, here's the thing. You build that complex. You bring in that revenue. And part of the cost of doing business is to make sure that equipment works, whether it's in an apartment complex, whether it's the stoves, the refrigerators, whatever's provided, elevators if there are any, lighting, outside common area lighting, and a fire alarm system. That's the cost of doing business. If the revenue coming in, part of that revenue, we all know, anybody that's been associated with business or government, part of that revenue is designed to pay for those things as they break or as they need to be replaced. What I heard is, in a particular instance, we're having repetition, and you tell me if I'm right, because there's not enough of an interest there by management, ownership, whatever it might be, to repair or replace what's broken that's causing these faulty alarms. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct.
Okay. In that situation, 3 warnings in 1 year, and I know our attorneys have done a great job on this, okay? We've not delineated between that real abuser who knows they got a problem and, according to you, are not doing anything substantive. They're neglecting it, okay? They're getting the warnings too. They're not getting a fine right away. It's not a money grab. And honestly, Chief, I agree with one thing one of my colleagues said. Look, we understand that when police are on duty, they're on duty. When sheriff deputies are on duty, they're on duty, they're being paid. When firefighters are on duty, they're on duty, they're being paid. That's not the point here. And we're not trying to recoup more money. We're trying to encourage those offenders who have not been able to be encouraged so far. Is that accurate, Chief?
You're on point.
To say, we're going to give you 3 strikes. You're not even out on the 3rd strike.
And we're telling you spend the money to fix it instead of paying a fine every time.
That's what we want to do. And I just want to say this, Mr. Chairman, and you did a very good job of laying it out there. I just want to add one thing. This is what we have to make clear to the public. This is not about a fine. We never want to get to the fine.
That's right.
We never want to get to the fine. We want the fire engines. And Chief, answer this for me. I'll use my house as an example. We use smoke detectors, heat detectors in our home. They're connected together, okay? If one of my heat or smoke detectors went off and I had a concern, not sure, but I have a concern that there might be something here. Maybe I just smell something that smells like smoke. And I call the fire department and y'all find nothing. Is that a false alarm on my part?
No, it's not.
Wonderful. Because I don't think it should be. Because that homeowner is not acting maliciously. That homeowner is not acting with ill intent. That homeowner is acting in saying, I live in a wonderful community, that we have wonderful fire districts out here that protect us in case I feel this, I smell this, what is this, I'm worried, I got children here, let's get out the house, I'm calling. That's not what we're trying to control here, correct, Chief?
That's correct.
So I thank you for those answers and clarifications, and I want to thank all of the fire chiefs, Mr. Belisario, and all for heading the group up, Mr. Chairman, and also any of us that could attend, but also knowing not all 14 of us can attend. So we're here to learn, Chief, both sides. Thank you for the information.
Thank you. And if I can address the act of God, the terrorism that was talked about, that's not a false alarm. If you get struck by lightning and it could go off and we're coming, that's not a false alarm. But once we met with you and said, you have damage and this has to be fixed, contact your company, and you neglect to fix it, the next time we come will be your first false alarm. Not even the first alarm we come out when it's detected what is wrong. So there's so many mechanisms in here for you to fix it, for us to educate you. We will even train you if you get to the first fine to say, don't pay it. We're going to give you education why we do this. The goal is, as you well said, we hope never to collect one fine in this parish. This can be a deterrent and get people to be in compliance with life safety features that are required. When you rent or occupy a building, you expect those things to be maintained, not maybe. And I sent y'all emails on some of our captains that I asked how things were happening. I get every alarm on my phone 24/7, so I know when it happens. my personnel are concerned to the point right now, you read the letters, I hope you read the emails, the apartment complexes that the tenants that are living there are not even coming outside. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all realize how serious that is tonight. We started this a long time ago. We're here tonight to make a vote in March. That's how serious this is tonight. This is a life safety, public safety issue that we have become complacent because now everyone living there is understanding that it's a false alarm and I don't have to go out. I don't have to evacuate. And I don't want to have a mass casualty incident in this parish. When we had the opportunity right now to be proactive, let us set the standard in Louisiana. Let people want to do what we're doing here tonight in St. Tammany and make this the place that everybody wants to live.
Mr. Talladano.
Mr. Talladano.
I liken this discussion tonight to the discussion we had during this ordinance. In my little time on the council, I've not seen any other ordinance vetted as much as this one has been done. We have beaten this thing to death for the good of the ordinance. First, I'm going to say this. I personally could care less about the cost savings, in all due respect. It's not about cost savings. It's about what Mr. Canulet, Mr. Kaufman, rather, pardon me, Chris would be here, he would
we
smile.
look alike.
That's right, y'all do a little bit like.
I'm glad y'all thought that was funny. Just the name, Chris.
Right, and really what I should say is, contrary to all the other rumors I heard about how difficult it is to work with Chief Kaufman, lo and behold, I found him to be very reasonable.
Thank you for that. Praise Jesus. Yes.
To move off just for a little, escaping a levity for a second, it's not about what the cost is. I, again, underscore, could care less. It's about life safety. And what we have in St. Tammany Parish is a situation that I've heard Ms. Brister mention in many other talks. This parish is growing. Unfortunately, the growth of this parish commands sometimes, at the right time, a little different and a little more bureaucracy. In this particular case, this ordinance, let us remind everybody at this table and in the audience, we have a burglar alarm ordinance right now, which, although not identical to this one, is philosophically the same. So I'm thinking to myself, lo and behold, if we can have a burglar alarm ordinance with false alarms, why in God's name would we not have a fire alarm ordinance? Those of us who had the pleasure to serve on this committee, worked very hard with this gentleman and some of the people in this audience and some state people that seemingly came in from God knows where, but they brought something to the table. Every change, for instance, that I personally suggested, they adopted. For every change that someone else suggested, for the most part, I think they adopted. Ms. Couvillon did a wonderful job of coming back to us after each meeting and presenting those changes in the way that we intended to have those changed to make this thing much of a workable product. It's not about fining people. This ordinance does the same thing that I think burglar alarm ordinance does. It makes people more aware of their responsibility. Absolutely. And, you know, it's like, I remember some other group that I was involved in, and it talked about hurricane damage and danger. And they said, well, the cost of this, I'll have to remember what it is, but someone stood up there at that podium, and I might be off on the hurricane, but someone will recollect it to me. And the gentleman said, well, from a cost-benefit analysis, oh, Jesus, I remember what it was, pardon me. It was the causeway. From a cost-benefit analysis, to save one life, the essence of it, just didn't justify it. And I would respectfully say, as I did to that gentleman, one life is worth billions of dollars to me, particularly if it's someone in my family or someone in this parish. So what is being done here has nothing to do at the end of the day with fines. You have to work hard. You would have to work extremely hard to get really fined in this. And if you think about fines, given the FEMA cost analysis, which is the only way you could do it, theoretically, you say the fine ought to be $750. The fine is an educational tool, as it is often in other laws and that we see local laws written. What I would suggest to everybody at this side of the bar is that the ordinance has been looked at so hard by your fellow councilman who you were kind enough to appoint to this committee. We have beaten it to death. It's a good ordinance. It serves a constructive purpose. I think it will be a rare phenomena when someone actually gets tagged with a fine. But what it will do is it will send a message in this community, and if it saves one life, as Mr. Lorino said, one heart attack victim, one danger that someone who's got his truck on one side of Highway 190 and it's 4:30 and the problem is in Tammany Hills on the other side, and minutes and seconds make a difference in stroke victims, we're going to save their lives. We ought to pass this. Certainly, I think, I hear that my fellow council, Mr. Stefanczyk, has some amendments. I wish I would have heard them, quite frankly, in advance, but we'll hear them and we can entertain those. But at the end of the day, doggone it, we ought to pass this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one in the queue, Chief, this may be the last. Well, you might come back next month, but it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you all so much for the time.
Thank you. Members of the council, seeing no one in the queue, we have a motion that was made and second on the actual amendment as it is, and then Mr. Stefanczyk will make his appeals, and we can, his amendments, and we can vote on those. So please go ahead and vote.
Motion passes, 12 yeas, 1 abstention, 1 absent.
Thank you. Mr. Stefanczyk. Put Steve on. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm waiting. Okay, it's come on now. Thank you. I have and I think these are very self-explanatory and very short, and you can make up your mind pretty quick, like even you, Mr. Toledano, will be able to understand it in that short a time, okay? And you can say yes or no, but I think some things need to be done. The first one is that under the whereas, which is the second whereas, my contention is we ought to put in there, whereas the fire chiefs of St. Tammany Parish have suggested the adoption of these, have requested the adoption of these regulations by the parish council for the purpose of enforcement in their respective districts, and then finish out the rest of that whereas with the piece that goes on there. And then the fire districts may elect to adopt a resolution set herein to be, set forth herein. And I just wanted to put in there that they are the ones that requested it, and we should note that in the ordinance. And so I'm going to move that wording be included in that whereas.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Balacero. Does everybody have a copy of that? Okay. They don't, Ms. Cuvion?
Well, they'd have to have about five
right.
versions of it, you know
Right.
that.
Well, no, I have one in blue, so I have one in blue, but okay. Bottom line is, we have a motion and a second, but what Mr. Stefanczyk said is this, he's just basically saying that the fire chief requested the parish council to do this and a little extra wording, and that's not a big deal. So please, Mr. Balacero, okay, did you want to talk?
No.
Okay, please go ahead and vote.
Motion is unanimous, 1 absent.
Thank you. Mr. Stefanczyk, go ahead.
Second one is down below that in item I think C,
Correct.
and I modified it slightly, but it said, the thing says, the fire districts of St. Tammany Parish may elect, and then I put by passage of a resolution to adopt the regulations set forth herein, and it goes on down to the end of the red, you guys that have it there. And all I'm asking is the next sentence be added as well, and that is, a copy of the resolution shall be forwarded by the fire district to the parish council to put on file. And once they've adopted the resolution, we should have a copy of that on file, and I think it's prudent of us to do that.
Okay, so
I'll
basically.
second the motion.
Second by Mr. Balisaro. So, Mr. Stefanik, so basically what you're saying is you'd like the fire districts to go ahead and pass this resolution among each separate fire district so that they are they're in this ordinance. And then once that happens, that the parish keeps that copy on record so that we can go back on later on if need be.
That's
In
correct.
short,
I
in
think
short.
they have to do the first part
I
anyhow.
understand. Okay.
So it's a second
Well-
pile of having record of it that I'm
Well,
looking at.
I think that's a very good amendment because as we know, I've heard that maybe some fire districts didn't want to participate. So if they don't want to participate, they can do this on their own and that'll be it. We have lived up to what we think is the best thing for St. Tammany Parish. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no one else in the queue, please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you, Mr. Stefanik.
I have one more.
Oh, you have one more? I'm
Yes.
sorry, I don't even
I
have a
told you I
copy of
had
that
three.
one. I don't even have a copy of that one.
I told you I had three, okay?
You must have
The
pulled
third
that one out of your pocket.
The third one, the appellate thing is set up, the appeals court is set up, and then if the people, whoever it is, don't like that, then what we've told them is they've got to go to the 22nd Judicial Court.
Right.
Now, guys, I'm going to ask that be sent to the parish council and heard on our appeal calendar, and I know there may be some opposition, but I don't understand why we would be loading up the 22nd Judicial Court with more work. If we're going to do it, we need to do it at a lower level than that, rather than make sure that somebody has to go to the 22nd Judicial Court.
So basically what you're saying is we would treat that as an
As an
ordinary appeal coming from
ordinance.
planning and zoning, and
is
we would,
correct.
and we would handle that.
If they, they have to appeal up, I mean,
No,
first
that's
of all,
at the
they
very-
get fined
no,
by
that's at the very end,
whoever it
right,
is,
right.
and then they have that first appeal board.
Right.
And if they want to appeal that farther, we now tell them in this ordinance that they got to go to the 22nd Judicial Court. I'm saying bring that to the council. We vote on it. We created the ordinance. Let's vote on it. And we make the final decision rather than send that to the 22nd Judicial Court and add additional workload to the 22nd Judicial Court.
So after the fifth time that I would come up before this fire, after the fifth time that my alarm goes off for whatever reason, I come up and rather than go to court, I would go ahead and come to the council as a planning and zoning. Is that right?
Not quite. If you get your fifth time, somebody's going to fine you. I think
Right,
we got a
right.
board set.
Right, but
We
that's the appeal
we got
when I
the-
come back.
No, it's not the appeals person. The fire administrator or the false fire alarm administrator will
Okay.
fine you.
Gotcha.
And then
Then you
you can either pay it or you can go to the appeals court.
Right.
And if the appeals court upholds it, you can either pay it or you can then file an appeal to the parish council.
Gotcha.
That's the process that I would want in there.
All right.
And I think it did it in a few words by just saying the final appeal comes to the council rather than 22nd Judicial Court.
Mr. Balisaro?
Yeah. This one I didn't see.
I didn't see it.
When I read this over, this is an ordinance that we're putting out for 13 fire districts to enforce. And then if someone is angry over the decision at the appeals court level, they go to the 22nd Judicial District. You need to tell me, see, what laws do we have for outside agencies that would require people to come to us to sit in as the judges? That's the problem I have. When I read this, that's my problem. Our job is not to be judge and jury. It is the appeals board, then in 22nd JDC. Thank you.
Mr. Menard? Or Ms. Couvion? Would one of y'all like to?
Yes, I mean, as it's drafted now, any appeal from the appeals board decision would go to the district court. Mr. Stefanczyk did ask me about changing language in an alternative draft to add an appeal to the parish council. I have concerns about the jurisdiction of this parish council to hear those appeals. I would need to do more research, but I have serious concerns about that, the jurisdiction of this body.
Well, I did also, but, okay, thank you. Mr. Tanner?
I think Ms. Couvion just answered my question, because I don't think we have the authority to fine anybody, you know, as a council. We can't be a judge up here.
Okay, seeing no one else in the queue, we have that amendment. Mr. Stefanczyk.
You have the amendment.
I think I understand what Ms. Couvion has just said, and I think probably everybody else, I'm willing to withdraw that amendment.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. All righty. All righty, we took care of ordinance number 16065 finally, Chief. Good night and have a good night.
Mr. Chair, we need to have a motion to reintroduce.
Okay. Is there a motion to reintroduce?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Mr. Taladano, second by Mr. Balacero.
Thank you. Now we can move on.
Okay, ordinance calendar number 2. Ordinance for adoption, number 2. Calendar number 6109, ordinance to extend the 6 months moratorium on property within a defined area within Parish Council District 14. Mr. Smith? Motion to adopt by Mr. Smith, second by Ms. O'Brien. Thank you.
You ready to vote?
Yeah. Please vote.
Ms. O'Brien? All right, I got it now. Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Tanner,
What are we voting on?
you're voting on
I know.
ordinance calendar number 6109.
61, number 2. Didn't we vote on the first one? Yes. No.
Motion passes with 12 yeas, 2 absent.
Number 3, ordinance calendar number 6110, ordinance to extend for 6 months the moratorium within a defined area within unincorporated boundaries of Ward 3, District 5. Mr. Taladano?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Taladano, second by Mr. Thompson. Please vote.
Mr. Toledano? Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Number 4, ordinance calendar number 6111, ordinance to prohibit the issuance of any driveway permits granting permission to access Stonebridge Drive located in Parish Council District number 8.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Balacero, second by Mr. Groby. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Number 5, ordinance calendar number 6112, ordinance amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 11.11 acres from A1-A-1A to HC-2, Ward 3, District 3. Mr. Thompson? A second by? Mr. Dean. We have one gentleman, Mr. Philip Sweet, would like to speak on this. Yes, yes, sir. Sweat, come on up. Sir.
I apologize. I just filled out the card in case there was any questions that the council might have.
No, sir.
Okay.
It's fine, thank you.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, seeing no one in the queue, please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 1 absent.
Number 6, ordinance calendar number 6113, ordinance amending the official planning and zoning map to reclassify 0.664 acres from A-1 to A-2, Ward 4, District 7. Mr. Groby? Motion by Mr. Groby.
Second.
Second by Mr. Balisaro. And we have a card by Ms. Deborah Seeker.
Good evening. I would just like to
Good evening, ma'am.
clarify, it was supposed to be A2 to A3, and on the agenda, it says A1 to A2. It's currently A2. I have the paper.
Okay, Mr. Fontenot?
And I received a letter that said when we came to the zoning commission on December 4th, they approved it from A2 to A3. So I just wanted to clarify that it was going from A2 to A3. That is what we are trying to get adopted.
The ordinance is correct, just the title is incorrect, but the ordinance itself has
What our
that.
secretary is saying is what we have here is incorrect. The ordinance itself, the body of it is correct.
Is correct.
So I'll make sure
Okay.
that's changed.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, please vote. No, she already has it in. It's already in there.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Number 7, ordinance calendar number 6114, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map. Oh, no, that's the one I just did, I'm sorry. Ordinance number 8, number 6115, ordinance.
7.
No, I was right?
Yes.
Okay. No, what he said?
Sometimes.
What he said? Thank you, Mrs. Stefanski. When I'm here 40 years, I might get number 2.
That was a short across the mouth.
All right. Which one we on now? Yes, sir.
Number 7.
All right. Ordinance calendar number 6114, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 0.655 acres from A-3 to 1-1, Ward 3, District 2. Mr. Fitzgerald. Motion by Mr. Fitzgerald, second by Mr. Thompson. Please vote.
Mr. Bender?
Hit it for me.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. Number 8, ordinance calendar number 6115, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 10,000 square feet from A-6 to A-4, Ward 9, District 13. Ms. Blanchard? Motion by Ms. Blanchard, second by Mr. Smith. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Ordinance calendar number 6116, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 4.2 acres from A-1A to HC-2, Ward 3, District 3. Mr. Thompson. Motion by Mr. Thompson. Second by Mr. Toledano. Please vote. Did I vote?
Mr. Dean, I'm sorry I did not see you were back. Would you like to give a verbal vote?
Yes.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 10, ordinance calendar number 6117, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 4 acres from A-1 to A-2, MHO and RO, rural overlay, Ward 5, District 6. Mr. Tanner.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tanner, second by Mr. Toledano. Please vote.
I haven't had an opportunity.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Ordinance calendar number 6118, ordinance accepting final subdivision into road and drainage inventory, specifically the Village of Normandy Oaks, Phase 1, Ward 1, District 1. Mr. Dean. Motion by Mr. Dean, second by Mr. Thompson. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, two absent.
Ordinance calendar number 6119, ordinance to establish no parking signs on the entire width row along St. Luke and Evangelist Church property along Cross Gates Boulevard. Mr. Balacero.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Balacero, second by Mr. Tanner. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, two absent.
Number 13, ordinance calendar number 6120, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 31.34 acres from A-3 and HC-3 to HC-3, Ward 7, District 7. Mr. Groby. Motion by Mr. Groby,
Second.
second by Mr. Balacero. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Ordinance calendar number 6121, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 10.71 acres from MD-1 and PBC-2 to MD-2, Ward 1, District 1. Mr. Dean. Motion by Mr. Dean, second by Mr. Thompson. Please vote.
Ms. Blanchard. Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 15, ordinance calendar number 6122, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 8 acres from NC-5 to I-2, Ward 7, District 7. Mr. Groby. Motion by Mr.
Second.
Groby, second by Mr. Balisaro. Please vote.
Mr. Stefanczyk? Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 16, ordinance calendar number 6123, ordinance amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 1.18 acres from CB-1 to HC-1, Ward 4, District 4. Mr. Balisaro?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Balisaro, second by Mr. Toledano. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 17, ordinance calendar number 6124, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 2.97 acres from A-1 and A-4 to A-3, Ward 4, District 4.
So moved.
Mr. Balisaro, second by Mr. Toledano. Please vote.
Tanner.
Tanner, I'm sorry.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 18, ordinance calendar number 6125, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 24.85 acres from NC-4 to MD-2 and NC-6, Ward 4, District 10. Ms. O'Brien? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Marone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only turned in the card out of an abundance of caution in the event that I needed time for rebuttal, but if there's no opposition to the ordinance, I have nothing further.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Motion by Ms. O'Brien, second by Mr. Balisaro. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Ordinance number 19, ordinance calendar number 6126, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 20 acres from PF-1 to A-2, Ward 4, District 7. Mr. Groby?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Groby, second by Mr. Balisaro. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Ordinance calendar number 6127, ordinance amending the text of Chapter 130 of the Parish Unified Development Code to increase the maximum building size in the HC-3 zoning district. Mr. Balisaro.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Balisaro. Second by Mr. Toledano. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 21, ordinance calendar number 6128, ordinance to amend the 2019 operating budget. Mr. Toledano. Motion by Mr. Toledano, second by Mr. Groby. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Ordinance calendar number 6129, ordinance to establish the 2019 grants budget. Mr. Toledano. Motion by Mr. Toledano,
Second.
second by Mr. Balisaro. Please vote.
Mr. Smith? Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 23, ordinance calendar number 6130, ordinance amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 1.94 acres from its present A-1A to HC-2, Ward 3, District 3. Mr. Thompson. Motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Dean. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Ordinance calendar number 6131, ordinance to amend the Parish Unified Development Code to add brewery or distillery with tours. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fitzgerald, second by Mr. Dean. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Number 25, ordinance calendar number 6132, ordinance approving a variance and conditioning to allow for internal illumination of a proposed monument sign, Ward 1, District 1. Mr. Dean.
Yes, sir. Motion to remove, please.
Motion by Mr. Dean, second by Mr. Balisaro to remove.
Can I discuss a little while?
Please say please.
No. Please vote. I'm glad you woke up down there.
He's been waiting for that.
Mr. Dean, Mr. Toledano, Mr. Tanner, Ms. O'Brien, Mr. Stefanczyk.
Wait for the discussion.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Okay, number 26, ordinance calendar number 6133, ordinance amending the official planning zoning map to reclassify 10 acres from A-1 and RO to H-3, HC-3 and RO. Ward 6, District 6. Mr. Tanner.
I'm up, but I don't know what this is.
It's from your appeal last month.
What?
It's from your appeal last month, the vineyard.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tanner. You sure? Second by Mr. Toledano.
No, Thompson.
Please vote. Okay. Now we need a motion to bring it
Mr. Smith, Mr. Tanner,
Do I need a motion to bring it off the floor?
Need a motion to open it on the floor. Need a motion for.
well,
Okay.
please stop pushing buttons. Mr. Dean, Mr. Fitzgerald, Mr. Toledano, you all just undid yours, as did Mr. Lorino.
Uh-oh.
Press yes again, or no, whichever. Mr. Fitzgerald, thank you. Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the items off the floor. I need a motion to bring them off the floor. Is someone make a motion? Motion by Mr. Balisaro, second by Ms. O'Brien. I need a unanimous vote, please.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. Number 1, proclamation of February 21, 2019 as Realtor Appreciation Day. Ms. O'Brien.
Is it on? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation. So St. Tammany Parish Government Proclamation, whereas the New Orleans Metropolitan Association of Realtors was established in 1915, and whereas the New Orleans Metropolitan Association of Realtors consists of over 5,000 members in 10 parishes, including St. Tammany Parish, and whereas the New Orleans Metropolitan Association of Realtors serves to unite those engaged in the recognized branches of the real estate profession for the purpose of exerting a beneficial influence upon the profession and related interests. And whereas realtors subscribe to a strict code of ethics and are expected to maintain a higher level of knowledge of the process of buying and selling real estate. And whereas we recognize the dedicated local realtors have to the New Orleans metropolitan area and the contributions they've made to that area, including St. Tammany Parish. And whereas the event will honor the Greater New Orleans realtors and serve to celebrate celebrate the commitment they have to helping people fulfill their dreams of home ownership and protecting private property rights. And whereas the New Orleans Metropolitan Association of Realtors is holding its annual Realtor Appreciation Day on Thursday, February 21st, 2019. Now, therefore, we, the Parish Council and Parish President of St. Tammany Parish, do hereby proclaim February 21st, 2019 as Realtor Appreciation Day.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Balisaro. You should get it, Richard. That's right. Thank you, Maureen. Resolution number 2, resolution to amend ordinance number 18-3977 to make changes to the 2019 capital improvement budget and capital assets. Mr. Thompson? Motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Dean. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
I'm going to go back. Mr. Smith mentioned to me that we need to go back and open the agenda again for the appointment. And I think you had a motion, Mr. Smith.
To suspend the rules and adopt this appointment of Mr. Cook.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Ms. Blanchard. I'm sorry. So we don't. Okay. Yeah.
No, he's still serving.
He's.
Please use your mic so we can hear you.
Go ahead,
It
Steve.
doesn't have to sit over. If it was a nomination involved, but it's not a nomination.
It was a nomination last month, and
No.
we added to that, and now, and that set over a month, and now it's time, and we could vote on it. Now, you can you can suspend the rules and adopt, I don't care, but you don't have to.
But it wasn't a nomination from last month,
What? Go ahead, Mr. Bender.
right? It was.
Well, let's just go ahead and vote on it.
Mr. Chairman.
Get it over with.
It's a parish-wide
Yes, sir.
appointment. So unlike one district appointment where you have to either let it lay over or suspend the rules and vote on it, we don't have to suspend the rules. We can
Gotcha.
vote on it tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just, you might ask them.
Is that correct? Is that correct, Carlin?
I mean, it's parish-wide.
But it
Am I
was
on?
the
Yes, ma'am.
agenda last month.
This, I do not believe that y'all made these nominations last month. So
No.
if you want to appoint Mr. Cook tonight, you do need to suspend the rules
Thank you.
to vote on that. I don't believe so, no.
Therefore, Mr. Smith? Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Ms. Blanchard. And you're wrong, Mr. Stefanczyk, but that's okay. And that's number 2. But anyway, please vote.
Yeah, you're right.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Thank you. That's the last one. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.